It is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today's lunch. And that is, you're going to love this one, Jack Kalavritinos. Jack is the president and CEO of the ACE Mentor program. ACE Mentor is America's top private sector workforce development organization, encouraging young people to pursue STEM-related careers: science, technology, engineering, and math. ACE stands for Architecture, Construction, and Engineering. And as you will hear from Jack, it also includes a significant role for surveying, mapping, and GIS. His program includes a significant role for encouraging young people to enter architecture, engineering, and construction, but also surveying, mapping, and GIS. I'm proud to call Jack a friend of over 20 years and a colleague. We first met when he became the Government Affairs Director and General Counsel at the American Council of Engineering Companies, ACEC, back in the 1990s. During the Bush administration, he served as Associate Administrator of the Office of Federal Procurement Policy in the White House, and as a senior official in the Office of the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and he did a stint in the Labor Department. Boy, we wish we still had friends like Jack in the Labor Department these days. I was introduced to ACE several years ago and have been impressed by this program and the way that it does work with young people, and was delighted to witness the intersection between the ACE program and the interests of MAPS and NSPS members. Recently, Kurt and I had the opportunity to meet with Jack and to discuss workforce development. And with that being one of the issues we're taking to Congress tomorrow, and the fact that you can't get more than 2 surveyors or geospatial professionals in a room and start a conversation without talking about our need to recruit young people and the next generation of workers and professionals in this field. With this being such a hot topic, we thought the members of both organizations would benefit from learning about the opportunities this wonderful program presents. So I'm not going to steal any of Jack's thunder. And with that, I want him to tell us about this very innovative and effective way that we can help recruit the next generation of surveyors and geospatial professionals. With that, please join me in welcoming Jack Kalavritinos.
Thank you, John. That was very, very nice of you. Great to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Kurt, and thank you, John, and thank you, Susan. Really enjoyed getting to know you already. Susan is with one of our ACE Mentor Executive Committee member companies, and so Stantec is a company we rely on quite a bit in terms of supporting our organization. So thank you, John. You know, John and I, like he said, our paths intersect from our days at the my days at the Consulting Engineers Council and then at OMB. And I was about to say, you know, I miss those days of talking about commercial versus inherently governmental. And John said those terms don't even exist anymore in this administration. They've just done away with those, and that is a shame. So when I think about my 2 years at OMB, one of the friendliest faces to come knocking on our door would always be John. We saw eye to eye. We were, you know, on the same mission. 876 might not have been something that people love, but it's a lot better to be competing, work with the private sector than not doing so at all. And just know that for people like me, there's one person in DC who represents, you know, private sector interests going up against the government and saying the government should not be competing with the private sector, and that's John. I mean, you're the leader in that here in town. Sometimes it's a lonely voice, especially these days. But I sort of miss those days. I've sort of had different lives. This life is a great one because now I'm getting a chance to work on workforce development. So you see that picture there, and I wanted to start with that because it really represents all the different disciplines. And I'm hoping that we can start to add your profession and your industry. We should already, frankly, because a lot of the boards, a lot of the design competitions that our own students, and we're going to get into that, are engaged in, are actually using mapping and using their mentors are helping our students in a very elementary way. Nothing like your fine competition, but one of the things I want to do today is really lay out who we are and then see how we can better work together. This is our mission. It really is to engage students, to excite them, to enlighten them, to get into related fields. And when we say ACE and what it stands for in terms of architecture, engineering, construction, that's just because 20 years ago, Charlie Thornton, the acclaimed structural engineer, that's what they decided it would, the main three professions would be. But frankly, what we've learned is that there are a lot of students and there are a lot of mentors from different areas that are broadly coming under the construction industry that get engaged by this process. I mean, to give you one example, construction lawyers. This is one interesting example. Almost out of the blue, and maybe it's because of a law firm got involved with ACE and talked to the ABA, but the American Bar Association is a major sponsor of ours. Why? Because construction law firms want to give charitable dollars through the construction forum of the ABA to charitable works, and they see it as a win-win for students to better understand that you need lawyers to be able to resolve conflicts, maybe to create conflicts, to put projects, to create the contracts, to put projects together. And so they're a partner of ours, and once a year in some states, students get to role play and they get to work through a problem. So we like to very broadly define what it is our mission is and the various players that come under the larger umbrella of the construction industry. We've got 60 affiliates and 1,000 different high schools around the country. This is a little bit outdated because we now have one in Las Vegas. It's our newest of our affiliates. You can see there the big concentration in the Northeast. Because 20 years ago, that's where Charlie Thornton and a group of structural engineers founded ACE in Manhattan and spread to Connecticut. But you see Florida, for instance, is such a hotbed. And Susan and I were talking about Nashville, and that's actually one of our stronger affiliates because it's there that we and our leaders in Nashville are very in tune with wanting to link up with those organizations such as some of the skill-based organizations that realize that not every kid is going to be going through a 4-year college, and so we should accept that, know that, and be very welcoming to the broadest possible set of students so that we can try to engage them in our industry. And so the folks in Nashville, I know, are doing a particularly great job with that. Here's some of our lead sponsors who right now are on our and leaders on our executive committee. We have many more, and frankly, we've got sponsors in all 60 of the affiliate locations where we're located around the country. We're unique. I mean, workforce development obviously is a big topic, and the private sector, whether it's oil and gas companies or auto companies, and people are giving STEM education, but we really don't know of another industry, as an industry, that on its own has said, we are going to manage and fund and run a program like this, and do so year after year after year. It's low cost. In fact, it costs students nothing, and maximum impact. You're going to see some of the statistics later on. And Susan, you see Rich Allen there in this particular photo, and I chose this before I even knew that you were your chair of this fun organization. Our students come from freshmen all the way through senior, and last year we had 8,700 kids sign up. Students coming from across the country, and one of the things we're very proud of is that a lot of our firms say, well, if we're going to do this, we're not going to necessarily go to a school where kids have every advantage. We're going to go to schools where we can have the maximum impact and also see if we can help with creating a larger, more diverse workforce. So we have an incredible story to tell in terms of the number of underserved kids, minorities, students who now never even thought they wanted to get into one of these fields. So have parents who never even finished high school and now we're being helped along the way to fill out that college application, get a scholarship, and go to college. Our mentors are our lifeblood, and we have 2,500 right now active across the country. Some of our sponsor companies, what they do is they provide us the financial support, but others don't do that. They say, we're going to engage our employees. And I was in New York City, and I met a woman who took over her father's acoustical engineering company. I didn't know there was a subspecialty like that, but it's all about acoustics. And she said, I am so enamored with this that every young associate now that comes and works here, it's not an option. You're required to be a mentor. So I watched that team in the basement of Turner Construction's headquarters, and she had 6 of her employees giving a PowerPoint presentation to these 20 students about the importance of whether it's acoustic mitigation if there are loud noises, or whether you're in a concert hall and what you're going to do to encourage better acoustics. And it was just really wonderful to see a CEO really requiring, and you could see that these young professionals actually enjoy it. That's one of the things I keep finding more and more, is that the professionals that are doing this, that are giving of their time after work to mentor, they're getting a lot out of it, frankly. They're networking with their peers in the various elements of the industry, and obviously they're giving back, and that's the thing that's the most heartwarming to people. We received a commendation a couple years ago in 2011 at Charlie Thornton, receiving the highest mentoring award in the country, White House Mentoring Award. I kind of wish my former boss had been the one to give that award versus the current president, but he can't control everything. ACE usually has 15 sessions. We don't micromanage how any given affiliate does it, but what happens is that they usually meet after school, and in some schools they decide, look, kids are too over-programmed, they got too much stuff going on after school, we'd like to carve out time in the morning, and you professionals come into our school, we'll reserve a classroom, and you can do your thing here on the school premises. So at times it's that, other times it's come to the office, and then various sessions will be field trips and so forth. But this isn't just a touchy-feely program of merely, I don't say merely, because some of the best things are the field trips, but these kids actually come together, and it's a range of kids. It's kids who think that I love science and I want to go into a field, and it's other kids saying I came because they were giving free pizza and I may or may not be interested in this at all. And they're all sitting around a table, and they eventually work on a realistic project, whether they enter our national design competition or whether they enter their local one, where they need to stand up at the end and present. It doesn't really matter. It's the point that they're coming together as a team, really a lot of times for the first time, often for the first time, seeing what the inner workings of an office is and a conference room in the downtown of the city where they grew up. And it's just a wonderful process, and a lot of them sign up for the next year and the year after that. Wanted to show you some of the photos here and some of the relevant ones that we were able to find as we were going through this. Thought that you all might be interested in. The job site visits. They've had a chance to go to Yankee Stadium, various airports that are under construction. It truly is remarkable the time and effort that a lot of the mentors and the companies who are sponsors really have given to the program over the last 20 years. Final presentations are really a special part of this, and I've only been at ACE for a year, but I've had a chance to hear several of the final presentations. And some of the kids are so nervous they can barely get the words out. Other ones, I think to myself, I wish my high school junior could speak as well as this kid who now is being interrupted appropriately, being asked questions by judges, fielding questions, sometimes using humor, and I'm thinking to myself, this is fantastic. And like I said, I only wish that my own son is getting the same kind of experience, since our school doesn't have something like this sadly available for him. Wanted you to see one of the final presentations here where a aerial image was used. The mentor was able to help with that, and then you see how the students are laying out their project on top. I couldn't resist giving you that. This was our Los Angeles affiliate at Student Team Design Projects that reconceived a thoroughfare in Pasadena. And each team was assigned a particular plot, told to design something according to the parameters. Scholarships, sort of a story that we haven't told as well as I think we should, because it's hard to always get your arms wrapped around it when you've got 60 groups around the country that are loosely affiliated with your organization and not necessarily part of your overall budget. But when we did a survey and we asked, how much year after year have you been giving, they have now given $14 million to ACE students. And sometimes literally the amount that student is receiving is the make or break for whether they're going to college or going to community college or not. One girl received the scholarship. They thought she was going to go to college. She ended up going to community college, and she said, "That's great. That's what we can do. But next year, I'm reapplying and I'm going to go to four-year college." She got in, and then she immediately got an internship with the firm, and now she's hoping to work at that firm. That's another story that I wanted to mention, and sort of John and I talked about this, is the full circle that now that we've been around 20 years, we have students that have gone through it, have gotten their degree, have started firms. They're not only mentoring, but last year, one of the 5 outstanding mentors of the year from around the country, out of I think 50 nominees, was himself an inner city Philadelphia kid who came for the pizza and now is outstanding mentor of the year. His name is Kevin Brown. We ended up highlighting him on a PBS show that highlighted ACE. It aired last fall. We have it up on our website. It's just a great success story. Just a word about our national design competition, and John talked earlier about having gone to the CERT conference that Mark Casso runs, and Mark has graciously for 10 years run on behalf of ACE, this national competition. What's great is that 40% of the construction industry roundtable of CERT's membership are sponsors, which was even higher, but 40% is a really good number. And he takes it upon himself to put out the mock RFP, to receive all of the boards. He's now up to 54, he said, breaking the record of 44 last year. Assembles panels of judges, and then at our April board meeting, April 25th, which is where John and I reconnected last year, then there's a final set of presentations. This year it's going to be 3 times as large, 3 times as many students coming from around the country in order to do that. And I sat there and I watched Steve Sandifer, head of AGC, Charlie Thornton, the founder, the executive director of the landscape architects, and there was one other judge asking questions of these 3 finalists, each kid knocking the ball out of the park. And then afterwards, firm CEOs that were there for both CERT and for ACE were pulling cards out of their pockets and handing them to this girl and 2 of the boys that gave their final presentations. And these were high school seniors saying, "We may want to hire you, but I definitely want to hire you as an intern. So get yourself into college and then contact me personally, and we'll get you an internship, and we'll take it from there." And I was just 2 months on the job when I saw that, and big time light bulb went off when I saw that happen. One requirement in the competition calls for students to really explain and analyze their project site, and that obviously involves mapping. And we found this great picture here, and this project sorry, shown in this photograph is a large-scale urban park along the Anacostia River here in Washington, and as you can see, the mapping figured prominently in his submission. Last year, roughly 1,900 high school students completed ACE, and 63% of them, almost two-thirds, entered college intending to major in architecture, construction management, civil and mechanical engineering. Engineering is clearly the most popular field. About 1/5 of these seniors reported that before they started, they had not even considered a career in one of these fields. The ACE experience not only persuades students to consider a career in the industry, but helps them to narrow a broad interest in these fields into something more specific. You see these stats here. I think it's known, it's been reported on in the press that young girls and African Americans, Latinos are underrepresented in engineering, and this chart demonstrates that ACE is dramatically driving a more diverse engineering workforce. A comparison of architecture majors, for instance, tells the story. The ACE inspires African American and Hispanic ACE students to study this field more than triple the national rate. I was in Charleston, South Carolina for their final presentations, and every student was just the way it was in the school they went to. Every single student was African American or Asian, and 70%, about 70% of the students were girls, all making their presentations. And I remember this one moment where the one fella, he must have been like 6'6", and the mom came over to me, and I had just started. She wanted to get my picture, her son, a picture with me, and the teacher goes over to her while she's taking the picture, and she goes, "I told you to sign up for that scholarship. Wasn't I right?" Because the son had just not only given his final presentation, but received a nice scholarship from the firms in Charleston. And she goes, I know. And later they told me that one of the biggest problems is the firms have the money, they want to do this, and yet it's getting the students and getting the parents to actually just make the case, fill out the form. And hopefully in this case, that scholarship is going to make the difference for him to go to school and further his education. ACE clearly has a beneficial impact on student motivation to study in high school and then to enter college. As a result of their exposure to the real world that we give them through ACE, 72% of students agree that their high school studies became more meaningful. 2/3 of students agree that ACE increased their motivation to study in school. To put that in more comparative perspective, one national study indicates that 55% of American high school students do not feel engaged in high school today. One last set of numbers here. We just came out with a new booklet. I brought some extra copies, so we have some fresh statistics, and so I wanted to share them today. We're just this week and next week going to be getting it out using our social media and other places, but we're happy to have some new data. But a major survey of ACE alumni completing their freshman and sophomore years of college indicates that a large majority of alumni feel that what they've learned in ACE helped them in college. Almost all alumni, 90%, said that ACE taught them technical skills and knowledge about the design and construction industry. And an amazing 64% said they felt that these skills were useful even during their past year in college. And that's just a copy of the brochure that I brought. It's called ACE Makes a Difference. What is our plan for the future? Our executive committee just completed and voted on a strategic plan. Our goal is to grow by 1,000. It's a very bold goal, but to grow by 1,000 students a year for the next 5 years. It's also to create more alliances and to broaden the scope and reach of ACE, and obviously to increase public awareness of ACE nationwide as well. In terms of building support and new alliances in 2016, we provide a solution to the workforce without government help. And I guess considering my background, considering where you all are, and John, that's one reason why I'm here and I'm doing this. If this was government related, group, I mean, I don't think I'd be doing it, but the fact that it's companies coming together, people coming together and doing this convinces me that, you know, I wanted to give up my job of lobbying, which is what I was doing before this, to help to lead this great program. As I said before, elements of mapping and surveying are already included, you know, in the programming. It's not something that's highlighted in our name. You don't have something formal that we're doing together, but it is already part of it. And with the participation of your firms and you all as individuals, as part of the society, we do more of that. I think that we will be able to persuade more students to at least consider entering into the field that you all have devoted your lives to. So I want to thank you, and I want to just leave you with this, is that I'm hoping that between meeting you, John, a year ago, and then having the meeting with Kurt and John, where we just very broadly talked about what is ACE and what are your own workforce development needs, which is the same needs as our firms, and some of our firms are the same firms, that we have things that we can do together, and I hope that we can do that and work as a partner and help you reach more students to tell your story and help engage and excite students entering your profession. So thank you very much, and I really love being here.